What is going on, people? Hope you are having a great day, or whatever time it is. I hope it's great for you. So, as a lot of you might know, drones, unmanned aircraft systems, whatever you want to call them, are pretty much my new thing. Not even a hobby anymore. I took it from a hobby and been trying to, get into the scene professionally and everything. Sorry if I keep looking over to the right or the left or anything. I'm in a parking lot and I'm extremely self-conscious because people are probably seeing me talk to myself. Guys not even paying attention to me. Anyway, it's not the point. It's not the point why I'm making this video. But I just took my part 107 and I quite literally lost maybe like, I don't know, a couple of pounds being scared and everything. Because I did practice for the test and everything, and I did study my butt off and everything. Thought I was going to fail. I always tend to overthink things. However, let me show you all something. So, I actually passed my test. Now, this is my first try and everything, and, I did a lot of study material and everything, and, actually, a lot of questions on that test were not really phrased the same exact way it was on my practice, but nonetheless, I passed. So what I want to do in today's video is I want to talk about some random things that I feel you'll definitely need to know, some random tips. I'm not going to be going over anything because I don't want to give it away. I feel like that would be a disservice or anything. So this is just going to be a lot of random points, but just things that I think are extremely important to take this test, for taking this test. Just some good practices, some things that you're really going to want to know. So hopefully this is going to be helpful. It's not going to be organized, but really, this is just kind of meant to talk about the experience. So, with that being said, let's get right into that. All right, so I am home now, and pretty much what I really wanted to do with this video is kind of talk about the tests and kind of tell you what to expect or certain things to expect, at least the things that I can remember. My short-term memory and my long-term memory in some cases is pretty horrible, but hopefully you will gain something out of all of the things I'm about to talk about and just really hone in on passing this test, because it's not that it's hard, it's just that, and it depends on the course you use, or if you even use a course, or maybe if you're watching YouTube videos to study on the test or something like that. But essentially, what ended up happening for me is that I did use a particular course to study for the Part 107. However, when I got to the test today, a lot of the questions were different. They were worded differently. However, they were within the scope of every single thing that I learned within my course. So definitely study. And the first thing I do want to say, as you can see here, I do have the Pilot's Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge and the Airman Knowledge Testing Supplement. Now, personally for me, I did not have to use this book, and I actually bought this by accident thinking it was this one. This is the one I needed, and I have it in PDF form. At some point I ended up wanting it in hardcover or sort of physical, tangible form. I didn't use it. I didn't have to use it. However, there is a lot of information in this book. Like, as you can see, even on the front of it, the picture they show of the airport signs here, that's actually pretty important. However, if you are using an online training program, you're most likely going to get all of that information, and it depends on the one that you use. However, like I said, I did not end up using this book, so you can buy it. How much you'll use it, I think, is going to depend on how much you actually understand what's in your course or wherever you're studying from. Like I said, I didn't use it. Now, This book, and I will make this the first point because all of these points are kind of going to be random, but the first stop should be this book. I will definitely say this was worth it. Definitely go on Amazon, buy this book. You know, there's a lot of valuable information in here. And the reason I say that is because this is actually the book you're going to get when you get to the test center. In my case, with the test center, what I was given was this book. I was given 2 pencils. I was given a sort of like a film. I thought it was like a film kind of magnifying glass or something like that. It ended up not being that at all. And I actually did buy a magnifying glass. Yeah, see, as you can see here, I did end up buying well, I bought 2 magnifying glasses. I think this was like a $7 investment for a pack of 2, but I wasn't able to use these at the test. I don't know if it was because I answered no that I would need any sort of, I don't want to say visual enhancement tools or, you know, visual aid. I'm sorry, visual aid. But I don't know how it is going to be for every single test center. I could not use these. You know, I told the proctor that I bought them. He told me to put them in a locker, and that was the end of it. The reason why I would definitely see if you can use a magnifying glass is because let's look in this book for a little bit. So the charts in this book, some of them are like highly packed with a lot of information. But as you can see here, I don't know if you can see this on camera or how far you can see this in. The charts here are pretty small. They're pretty small. Luckily, my eyes are good enough to be able to see things here without the magnifying glass. But if you're answering a question that has to do with you having to look for very intricate information that you might miss if you didn't scan over this thing like a billion times like I did during the test, this is going to come in handy. For instance, one question I can think of, and this is kind of my own made up thing. Let's say, for instance, if there's a question like, you know, refer to figure 21, area 1, and look at airport flying, this is a private airport right here, flying S, and the question has to do with, you know, looking at what obstructions or what hazardous sort of things are going to be there. It might be a good idea to take a magnifying glass and look, because if you were to look over this, you know, everything here is pretty small. But I can see here that there is there are some power lines right here, and with a magnifying glass, I can see that much easier. But then again, like I said, it does highly depend upon the test center. You know, you may not be able to use this. My proctor did not let me, and I ended up being able to go ahead and pass the test. If you are having some trouble with charts, or maybe there's just something you just kind of can't really understand about what you're seeing in the book, one really great tool that I wish I would have used when studying, not that I needed to, I like understand the charts and everything, but I just think it's cool, is SkyVector. So if you go to Google and just type in SkyVector, or just go to SkyVector.com, as you can kind of see right here, then once you get into the website, what will happen is it'll show you what's called the World VFR, which is World Visual Flight Rules, I believe. And you can see here, this is just a huge sectional chart of the world, pretty much. You have the United States right here. And if you zoom in to anywhere on this map, it'll clear itself up. And then you can go ahead and take a look at the sectional chart for that area of the world, or state rather. And this is just going to be easier. It'll sort of expose you to the different states and just how much information there is going to be on these charts. So I would definitely use this tool for sure. Another question concerning charts I know you're going to get on the test, because I got a few of them, has to do with GPS coordinates. So yeah, a sample question you might get is, what are the GPS coordinates? What are the approximate GPS coordinates for Washburn Airport right here? And you could also get a question that will ask you what airport is located in the approximate GPS coordinates they give you within that question. So I'm going to do a teeny bit of an example here. Hopefully I can do this or explain this right, but the best way to look at this is to always find the GPS coordinates here, right here, and to always remember that the number facing horizontally here, that is going to tell you the number below and the number at the top. So this is a 48-degree line here, and underneath it, where Washburn is located right here, that would actually be 47 degrees because, you know, if this map was, if this chart was full, you'd actually see 47 degrees down here, but it's not. But I know for sure that below this is going to be 47 degrees. And then the other thing to remember is that if you can see these lines, these kind of like lines that go across here, this is a 30-minute mark. So the easiest way to answer this question is to always, you know, see where the airport is, look for these coordinates, and then kind of count down. So let me see if I can actually do something to show you all. So Washburn right now, I know that it is located within the 47-degree range. And since this is 30 minutes down here, I know for sure, if I count these little lines down here, all the way to the one that kind of faces Washburn horizontally, I'll get my answer, which that looks like it's about 47 degrees and 21 minutes. I know 21 minutes because there's also a thicker line here right underneath it, and those lines are increments of 10. So this would be like 20, since this is a 30-minute line. And of course, that's going to give me my answer for at least the location of Washburn from either south or I guess that would kind of be south if that question was being explained, but I could be wrong. But of course, it's going to be 47 degrees and 21 minutes here. And then, of course, this over here, this line over here, oh, lines of latitude and longitude. I'm sorry, that's the term I was trying to remember. So this degree that you see over here, 101 degrees, all I have to do is count over one, and because this is the zero, this is 101 degrees, 0 minutes, count over in conjunction with where Washburn is, and that gives me about 101 degrees and two minutes, because I think Washburn is a little bit more over here. Anyway, I'm just trying to give you that example of that question. Whatever course you're taking is going to explain this 10 times better than I can, and you'll be able to get this question better than me explaining it, but know your GPS coordinates for sure. I can tell you that is going to be on your test. The next point I want to make is the reason why I tell you to buy this book is because one of the things is that when you get to the test, if you have not seen this test supplement, you may not know how to navigate it. So one of the things I use this a lot for is learning where the figures were in this book, because on the test, it's going to ask you to refer to something like figure 21. And if you don't know how to navigate this book, you might go to, let's say, I don't know, like page 1. Well, that's probably not a good example because there is no page 121. You can see this is 120 and this is appendix 2, but you might go to something like, let's say, you know, 221. And that's not what the question is saying at all. What the question would be saying is refer to figure 21, which means if you look down here, figure 21, and that's on page 2-20. So you really have to understand how to navigate this book or you will end up getting confused. You know, like I said, if it's going to be figure 21 and they say area 1, you're looking at this chart and you're looking at these numbers here. This is area 1, area 2, area 3, and you're gonna have to know exactly where to go and where to look in the vicinity of. And brings me to my next point. Understand the charts. There is a ton of information on here, and there's gonna be, you know, these charts can be information overload when you look at them. However, if you're taking a class or if you're looking at a YouTube video that explains them correctly, this stuff should be pretty easy for you. An example question you may get or something like this, and this is not going to be on the test, this is just me making this up on the fly. You could have a question that says, what is the outer class of airspace around Minot Airport? Now, let's go ahead and let me try to answer this question in the best way possible. Hopefully I don't mess this up, but you can see Minot International is right here, this little airport right here, right? And you'll see around it, you have Class D airspace, but that question will be asking what the outer class of airspace is. And as you can see here, there's Class E airspace from the surface up to 700 feet, because I think it's up to the surface to 700 feet. Don't quote me on this. This is why I'm telling you to learn how to read the charts. But as you can see here, this little magenta sort of vignette, sort of like faded line here, I believe that is Class E from the from 700 feet and up. Now, good thing about this is that you actually do have the chart legend at the front of the book, and I referred to this a couple of times because, you know, my memory, like I said, is not the greatest. But you can see here in this book, there is a sectional aeronautical chart that tells you literally about like 90% of the stuff that you're going to see on a chart. It gives explanations of, you know, the different types of classes of airspace right here. You have your ceiling of Class D airspace, and this will tell you that it's from the surface up to this number right here. So one of the things you're definitely going to see on the test is a lot of questions about the AGL versus MSL. And let's say, for instance, you get a question like, there is a tower 6 nautical miles northeast of an airport, and that tower is like a lighted tower, a heavily lighted tower. You'll notice right here, it'll actually tell you, well, high intensity lights is what I meant to say. You'll notice right here, these icons dictate exactly what those are. And let's say, for instance, if you get another question that's asking something like, what is the highest you can fly to the top of that tower, or something along those lines, and it asks you an AGL versus MSL, you can see right here, these little numbers, hopefully you can see that, these little numbers actually dictate which one is MSL and which one is AGL. And of course, the one without the brackets is going to be your MSL, and then the one with the brackets is going to be your AGL. Now, in terms of flying to the height of an obstacle, you can fly 400 feet above that obstacle as long as you are within 400 feet vertically of that obstacle. If I had a question like that, I would know, hey, I'm looking at MSL, which means the number with no brackets, and I'm adding 400 to that. So it's just, you know, just use this whole legend here, literally. Keep referring back to this because this is going to help you a lot. And it gives you a ton of information. You may also get something like a load factor chart or a load factor question. One of the most common questions I would see is, if a UAS weighs 33 pounds and it's making a 30-degree bank angle, I guess that's what's up here, how much weight would that UAS be required to support during that 30-degree angle of bank? And all that is going to be the weight of your UAS multiplied by this number. And on the test, you know, you do get a calculator within the PSI practice tests. So definitely know how to calculate this. Now, on my test, I didn't get a lot of airport questions, or sort of like airport sign questions rather. However, it is very, very good to know these, because I believe the tests are actually randomized, which is why if you fail it, you can't take it for another 2 weeks again. And well, that's my theory anyway. They probably, you know, cycle through tests or something like that, but you'll definitely want to know. And here's a hint. B, or these signs right here, these are designating taxiways instead of runways. Runways are designated by numbers. So a taxiway at that point is always going to be a letter. This is a taxiway exit sign, and this is a runway exit sign. And this right here is called the hold short line, and that is the line that you're going to, the line that a plane is going to be at before it enters a runway. And it's important to know exactly why an airplane should not cross that line. I do believe there are going to be some questions on the test for that. And like I said, guys, I'm sorry, I'm just throwing out everything random here because this is from what I can remember. You are for sure going to want to learn how to read a TAF weather report, because that actually, there was quite a few test questions actually on that. And really what you're going to be looking for with those, remember TAFs are updated, I forget exactly, but they're updated way more constantly than METARs, METAR weather reports. I didn't get too many questions on METAR, but one sample question I think I got on the test was, what time will the sky be overcast at 2,000 feet? And as you can see here within this, the from group, it's overcast at 2,000 feet here. Don't quote me on that. I'm probably wrong. Hopefully I'm not. And the test would actually give you, let's say, for instance, like a time like 1600 Zulu, or like 2200 Zulu, between 2400 Zulu. And you really gotta read those questions because they will try to trick you. But really understanding TAFs as much as you can is very, very important. And of course, one of the things that did sort of trip me up until I started to remember it is on a TAF, and I believe maybe on a METAR too, what'll happen is any statute mile that is, you know, beyond 6 miles is gonna be P6 statute miles. And the P stands for plus 6 statute miles. So just remember that. Now, the last thing I want to say here is you want to take any practice tests you were given, whether that is the one on psiexamination.com, whether that is the one from your course, like you can see here, anywhere, take a practice test. I know that on Android, I'm not sure if on iOS, there are Part 107 practice tests and everything that you can do, applications that will allow you to practice that, practice all the stuff you learn for the Part 107. And the reason you want to take, you know, many different ones is because a lot of these practice tests word things differently. So you'll get exposure to many, many different kinds of questions. Well, you get, many, many different kinds of questions, of course. And you'll also get exposure to how those questions, or how similar questions, can be worded in a different way completely. Don't be afraid to take the practice test as many times as you want. As you can see here, this was the first practice test I did and I got 80%. This is the second one and I got 75%. My third one here got 78.3. There really is no shame in taking these practice tests over and over and over again, because the more you practice, of course, is the better you're going to become, or the better you're going to understand everything. I think I took this test about like maybe 13 times, and that's not even including the Android app I was using, which I'll put those in the description also. That's not including me taking them on psiexams.com, which is 46 questions as opposed to 60. The course that I did from who I did it from, which was Pilot Institute, there is an unlimited 60 question test that you can take over and over again. And I took advantage of that thing like so many times. I think you can only get 18 wrong out of that 60 because you're going to need a 70% on there. Don't quote me on that, of course, to look it up. But yes, take as many practice tests as possible. Of course, one of the things I would do is anytime I got a question wrong, once I got my results, I would actually put those into a, well, in this case, Samsung Notes. Not everybody has an Android device or a Samsung device at that point, but I would put them into something like even OneNote. You could do this with, screenshot what I got wrong, put it in there, and then look at the common factor between all of these incorrect questions. So if it was a question on weather, like, you know, this question here, what are the characteristics of unstable air? And I know I got that wrong. I would actually go back to the beginning of that chapter and go through all of the material in that chapter, take the practice quiz at the end of that chapter, then go back and do the unlimited practice quiz again. Now, like I said, I don't know that this is going to be the same for every single course out there, but Pilot Institute is the one that I took, and I got a 92% on my test. But yeah, that is all I really have to say about this. All right, so I feel like I've been rambling, and I apologize once again, because the fact of the matter is that, like I said, my short-term memory is not really that great. My long-term memory, not that great either in most cases, but these are the most significant things I could think of that stood out on that test. And I'll be honest with you, you know, while I was doing that test, I started to get discouraged, and I thought that I didn't pass because, like I said, everything was worded so differently, and everything was worded, you know, in a way, it was like asking the same questions I had seen before, but just in such a different way that I was like, wait, am I wrong about this? Am I right about this? And I will be honest with you, I am not a good test taker, okay? I am, like, academics wise, like, I'm not a straight A student. I was never a straight A student or anything like that. But with hard work and determination and the will to actually go through and study this content, you can pass this test. You know, it is not impossible, and everything that you will learn in your course, whichever one you decide to go with, is going to be something that you will definitely be able to understand on the test. And yeah, go ahead. Like I said, do as many practice tests as you want. Practice, 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 practice. And when you're done practicing, practice again. And honestly, you know, my wife motivated me to go for this test a lot sooner than I thought I was going to do it at. I planned to do it like in fall or something like that, you know, and we were just sitting here, and she was like, all right, you're going to take your test. And I'm like, no, I'm too scared. I don't want to take the test. And she believed in me, and yeah, I was able to pass it. So if I can pass it, and I am not a straight A student, I am not a great test taker or anything, you can pass it, honestly. But anyway, I do hope all of this information was helpful in some way. I know it is scattered, and I know that there is a lot of stuff I went over that I probably could not explain correctly. But again, I'm doing this from memory. Just wanted to give you all, you know, what to expect and everything, and or some things you may encounter. And I hope that this was helpful in some way, shape, or form. If you have questions, please post those in the comments. If I can answer it, I will. If I can't, I will tell you honestly, it's something I don't remember. And yeah, looking forward to seeing if you pass it on the first try. And with that being said, I will end this the same way I end all of the videos on my channel. Wherever you are in the world, have a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, and a good night. And I will see you in the next video. Hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching.